G'day everyone, welcome to Tag Tuesday. Tag Tuesday is a bit of a tutorial actually, so we're going to do this face here. Don't worry that I've skipped over all those steps. I'm just about to show you how to draw it in real time. I know, I've finally done something in real time. It's still going to be quite quick, so you might want to rewind this if you need to. But number one, circle shape, oval shape, whatever you want to call it. Just a circular oval shape. Step two, an M shape for the mouth. Fill in the line from both ends and color it in, and then just put a U shape for the bottom lip. Keep it unattached, you don't need to attach it. 2 commas facing inwards for nostrils. 2 circles for the eyes. Inside the eyes you want to draw some C shapes and then just fill them in, leaving a little small white space, but not to worry. Then you want to put eyeliner on. Cover the top of the eye circles with the line, and eyelid lines on the top and bottom. Simple as that. Eyebrows, keep them loose and go nuts. As big or as little as you want, as arched and dramatic or as sad and droopy as you want. You want a big swell of hair and then some ears lined up with the mouth. Or you can make them a little further up or a little further down. I find that around the mouth area is pretty good. And I've put a neck on this one, but really I'm just here to talk about the face. And then what you're going to do from there, I find is really interesting, is to grab a smaller pen or a finer pen that you are working with. I like to do this face with brush pen, I should say, and take a smaller, finer pen and just add in a ton of details. Now I'm going to add in the details on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side I'm going to keep it the way that I drew it originally, just so you can see what a difference it makes. I'm also going to get a Copic marker and just add in some shadows with that as well. So the right hand side is the face that I'm going to work on. I like doing this cross-hatching kind of technique in some shadow areas. I shouldn't say really cross-hatching because I just do the line bit, I don't hatch it. But yeah, just nice lines in the shadow area, just scribbly, sketchy. The looser this is, the more forgiving it is. And this is not supposed to be a fashion face. This is not supposed to be, any kind of really true to life realism kind of face. This is not even really supposed to be a cartoony face. It's more just like a random face. Maybe it can get a little abstract if you plan it out more carefully, and I'll show you one I do as an example at the end. You can use these same principles and plan your face out a bit better to get just a more structured looking face. Some of them can look completely abstract. Some of them can look really cartoony, or depending on how you shade and color them and what extra details you add in, some of them can look really, really whimsical and beautiful. So this is just a good base. If you're looking for something simple, something that looks a little interesting, that isn't totally off-putting for, being incredibly difficult to do, I would suggest that maybe this would be a good place to start. And obviously, everywhere's a good place to start, but you want to keep pushing it forward. You want to find out what you love about it and take it further. You want to alter the things you want to alter about it, and really, make it your own. Use it as a tool to get you to where you want to get to. So, now I've got a Copic marker. Copic? I've never figured that one out, but I'm just going to say Copic. I've got a Copic marker and I'm just adding in shadows in the shadow area. Now I don't use references for shadows and highlights because I have a general idea about where they should go, and I don't like to use references for stuff like that because I keep it so loose it actually doesn't really matter. Shadows and highlights for me, if I wanted to use a reference, then what I'm doing, I'd want it to be kind of photorealistic, you know what I mean? Like, it can't look, simple and cartoon-ish like this. I want it to be a nice piece that I'm working on to even bother pulling out a reference photo for shadows and highlights. But I typically get the idea. I've definitely learnt it. I understand where shadows and highlights should go, but I don't get so pedantic about it when I'm just kind of having fun and loosely sketching things. So here you've got the left and right side. There's nothing wrong with the left-hand side too. You can totally just start there and stop there. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can see it's still kind of interesting. It gives you a nice base to work with, put some nice colors in there and you've got something fun. But then on the right-hand side, you can just see that adding in some extra details and hitting up the shadows, it was super quick and simple to do. I didn't speed that up at all. And yeah, you can see you just get some interesting results. Now, here are the tags that I'm doing. I'll be honest, none of those face shapes are any that I would have chosen to work with. I would have just ditched them all. But because I was showing you that you can kind of do it with anything, and some of them are abstract and some of them are cuter, and you know what I mean? Like, you can get any kind of result with this. I decided to work with it. That one in the middle, I mean, it looks like a potato. It's just a straight up sweet potatoes. So I decided to keep going. You can see I'm just using exactly the same principles that I did the first time I showed you. The circle head, M-shaped mouth, cut off that line, you know, like with from the top of from the bottom of the M-shaped mouth. You want to just separate that lip, color it in. You don't have to do it with black. I like to do it with black. A U shape underneath the mouth for the bottom lip. 2 little commas for nostrils. The circle eyes with the C shape in the middle. Hit it with the eyelash line. Eyelid. What am I trying to say? Hit it with the winged liner, I should have just said. And put on an eyelid on the top, put on an eyelid on the bottom, some loose fun eyebrows and a swirl of hair, and then some ears. That's all it is. Then you grab your pen and go over the top of it. Now, I found a nice way to get a really sketchy line and to... things look really, really sketchy, I'll just say this, if you don't overwork them. Things look more, I guess, loose if you actually did them loose. If you're trying to go really, really slow with that pen and really plan out where you want that line and still try to make it look unplanned, that stuff doesn't really read that way. If you want it to look kind of sketchy and loose, you're gonna have to do it sketchy and loose. So something like this is fun because the base is already down for you, and if you just grab your pen, I find that if you've got a problem with like overdrawing your lines or trying to put too much control in it, hold your pen further back to a place where it kind of feels uncomfortable for you to hold it, and then draw over those lines. And just do it quickly. And honestly, it doesn't matter if you go over things that you didn't want to go over, because you can always come back in and find another shadow or another detail to emphasize. There's a lot going on in a lot of these drawings, and you know, one wayward line isn't going to throw it all off, especially if it's just going to look sketchy like this. But this one here, I wanted to show you that if you wanted to color it in straight up, straight as it is from that first place where we left it, it's cute too. But I obviously don't stop there because, you know me, I can't just leave things simple. I do go over it with a bunch of other stuff, but for the most part, I just wanted to show you that these 3 examples were all done exactly the same way. They do kind of have a similar look to all of them, but they all have different finishes. So, and obviously your imagination is the limit, blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. You can just use this to encourage yourself to try a face. If faces is something you're a little upset about or a little worried about, or you don't really know what to do, maybe if you're just looking for a fun way to do hair, it's as simple as just doing a squiggly line and connecting it to the ears. Like, you know, a big swirl. She can have like that big, what's it called, like Astro Boy swirl, something like that. Or big victory rolls. If you do two big swirls facing inwards, facing each other at the top of the hair, they look like those big 40s victory rolls. Is that what they're called? I've decided to talk about everything I don't know today. Yeah. I feel like I'm always saying, is that what it's called? I have no idea. It doesn't really matter. For the purpose of what you're seeing, you know, like, you can see what I'm doing. So, yeah. Here I've taken that little brush pen again. I really love this zebra brush pen. It's really fine and black. And I've just hit up all the accents with that, put some little curls around there, just kind of loosely traced over everything and made some of the blacks blacker, if that makes sense. Just made it a little more bold. And then I've gone back in with a Sharpie. So you can see that one right on the right. It looks very sketchy, very loose, a little cute, a little cartoony, but there's no reason why you couldn't do that. I mean, it's as simple as what you've seen me do. This video is only sped up, I think, ×3. So this whole example, this whole demo took me about half an hour. So each of these probably took about 10 minutes. And you can see if you're just looking to add something quick to the corner of your journal, or you just want to decorate something really quickly but you're kind of sick of doing the same thing, just adding in one of these interesting faces might be what you're looking for. And because they're just a really easy base, you can decorate them any which way you want. This one kind of had a Glinda feeling to me. And then I went over it with a bunch of Copic markers and gave it some paint marker highlights, and then I used that white pen just to go nuts around everything else, which I thought was fun. She's kind of like a modern Glinda to me. And the one in the middle was just crazy, kind of weird looking, because it started out as a potato and then I turned it into some like garden sprite. And then I got the pencils out. So, you know, it's whatever you want to do with it. I just think they're a really fun base to start with if you're kind of discouraged by drawing faces and you think, you know, If you think you want to get to the point where you're doing photorealism, you might want to skip this step altogether. But if you want to get to more of those whimsical looking faces, but you're finding that your faces kind of look like everybody else's, or maybe you're just not liking the style that you've learned, or maybe you've finished with the style that you've learned but you're looking to transition into something else, maybe blending this technique with your own, making a bit of a hybrid might work for you. I'm not really sure, but I encourage you guys to give it a go. This is definitely this is on my Instagram in a more simple version, but I thought I'd just bring it to Tag Tuesday and give it a little bit of a tutorial on it. And you can totally see a bunch of other people's examples around there. These faces made it into an orange grab bag. They've been in my journals. This was very much the end of last year for me is when this kind of came out. So I'm giving it a bit of a revival moment, seeing if people are interested all over again, or maybe interested for the first time. If this is the first video you're watching of me, hello, welcome. And this is the last example I wanted to show you, which is a very, it's exactly the same idea that I was doing, except this time I did it all in pencil. Instead of going straight in with a pen, I did all of these lines in pencil as my reference, and then I inked it with a pen. So this is just to show you that you don't have to do it in that sketchy, weird, cartoony style. If you don't want it to look abstract or quirky or like weird or odd or misshapen like a potato, you can definitely draw it all in with your pencil first and then outline exactly the way you want to and give it a more structured look. And this is using exactly the same idea that we did before. So that's there for you too, just so you know. It doesn't have to look like what it looked like in those first examples. It can totally be more structured. You can this is, I guess, the hybrid that I was talking about. If you're looking to use these techniques to change the way that you're drawing faces, or to give them a bit of a different spin, or just to try something new, this is how I start playing with them. Once I've got the base down, do you know what I mean? Once I've kind of learned the technique, then I'll try and translate it into my own. Even though this technique I did myself, I still want to retranslate it, you know what I mean? I still want to reinvent it in a way that makes it more interesting to me. Because things are always evolving, You're always changing them up and making them more interesting for yourself. So, all same faces, sorry, not all the same faces, very different faces, but all the same technique from the same starting point. You can get a ton of different options and varieties. I encourage you to try it, and have a great week. Until next time, bye!